Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedeva Sarvakarashu Sarvada. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwaraha. Guru Reva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangale Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharane Trambake Devi Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samsita. Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. Om Aim Reem Klim Chamundaye Viche. Om Durge Durge Rakshini Tha Swaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vame Yasya Sthita Radha Shrisha Yasya Asti Vakshasi Vrindavana Viharam Tam Sri Krishnam Rudi Chintaye. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Om Namo Hanumate Bhayavanjanaya. Sukham Kuru Phat Swaha. Sukham Kuru Kuru Phat Swaha. Shri Hanuman Ji Maharaj Ki Jai. धर्म की जय हो, अधर्म का नाश हो, प्राणियों में सद्भावना हो, विश्व का परम कल्याण हो. नमः पार्वती पते हर हर महादेव हर. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 2nd of July 2025. I want to offer my prostrations. Ananta Koti Namaskara, Ananta Koti Pradikshana, Ananta Koti Danvat Pranam to all the great sages present on the earth today, who have yet to come, who have come in the past, and to the one Supreme Parabrahma, Purana Purushottam Paratpara Parabrahma Paramatma, residing in the heart of every being at all times in every place. With that bhavna and prarthana, we are continuing to examine the extraordinary concept, first as a concept of the 10th bhakti, that is called Prem-Lakshana Bhakti, as per the Satsangi's Jivan scripture written by Shatanand Muni. I mentioned this yesterday, we talked a bit about it yesterday. To continue exactly where we left off yesterday, we are going further to understand the internal energy of Bhagavan Krishna. That is Antaha Shakti, that is the internal energy. And then there are also the Bahir Shakti, external material energy, and the Tatastha Shakti, that is the marginal energy or the Jivatma. Now, to continue from yesterday, that the great sages in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, they consider Bhagavan, Bhagavan is all attractive, the absolute. And there are these three ways to understand the great power of God. So these categories, the Antar Shakti, Bahir Shakti, and the Tatastha Shakti, are dynamically inter-reflexive modalities of a single conscious source. And Srimati Radharani, the personified summit of divine love, fully embodies the first category, Anta Shakti, and is therefore identified as Swarupa Shakti, the essential self-constituting power that makes the Godhead experientially complete. We were talking about this sentence yesterday. These are all loaded ideas, and we want to really go carefully, slowly, so that we can understand it very powerfully and clearly. So first of all, it should be very clear that Bhagavan is only one. It is not two. Ekameva Dvitiyam Brahma, as the Vedas say. As all scriptures say, that the truth is one, Bhagavan is one. So now, from that perspective, there is the energy of God, and that is the love energy, that is the embodiment, meaning Radhika Ji embodies extraordinary love, and what we are talking about is the 10th love. So the 9 forms of devotion are a sadhana. They are to be practiced sequentially, step by step, with regularity, and with increased awareness, understanding, increased connection with Bhagavan. We've talked about that all last month, and we will continue to talk about that also further. But that is a matter of practice. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma, Nivedanam. This is a matter of experience and practice. Now, having said that, our purpose here in the morning is to better clarify and understand the fundamental spiritual concepts, and then from that they can be incorporated and then become real in our lives. So, the first point is Bhagwan is one, not two. There's only one tattva. That same tattva has infinite energies, and one of these energies, or the root energy, is the Antaha Shakti. And that is the summit of divine love. That is where love reaches its height, the height of love, the topmost level of love. So, God, meaning Bhagavan, is experientially complete. It is Purna. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Right? So God is Purna. Now the metaphysical architecture of the three rays. This is a way to think about this based on Jiva Goswami's parsing. Jiva Goswami is a Vaishnav Acharya, great Acharya, and he has parsed, meaning he has tried to explain the Antaha Shakti as follows. And I think this is what we left off talking about this yesterday. That there's existence, cognition, and bliss. So the Sanskrit name for the ray of existence is Sandhini Shakti. And that is the ontological correlation is Sat. Ontological meaning being, existing. But in this case, the Sandhini Shakti is used to configure, meaning to configure and create the Golok Dham. So there is Golok Dham where Bhagavan Krishna Paramatma's form is there. His actual tattva is there. In Vaikuntha Dham, Bhagavan Narayan is there. Bhagavan Vishnu is there. In Shvetadvip Dham, there is Vasudev Narayan. In Badrikashram, there is Nar and Narayan. Nar Narayan Bhagavan. Right? In Kailasa, there is Bhagwan Shankar. So these are abodes. Then there are millions of these types of abodes. Many of the names are not even known. These are the names that are known based on the openings and the paramparas that have happened in this world. Now I want to explain this point. I'm telling you, we could spend 100 years trying to understand this one block only. That's how extraordinary it is. There's no end to the exposition. Nobody can come to the end of trying to explain the spiritual world. It is a matter of Bhagavad Shakti, but great sages like Jiva Goswami, they are able to put it in language that we can understand, to talk about something which is beyond all language in that sense. Beyond our imagination is the spiritual world. So Bhagavan, now let's understand this carefully. Bhagavan, Krishna, through the Sandhini Shakti, configures and sustains the spiritual world. Configures and sustains the abodes, meaning the dham, different abodes. Jisko dham kehte hain, anant prakar ke dham hai. That is a configuration using Sannidhi Shakti. And the paraphernalia, all the material that is inside. Now, what is that material? That's another big subject altogether. That is another big question altogether. And the perfected bodies, meaning these bodies are called Brahma Maya Sharir or Bhagavati Tanu. Now, there are three questions here. What is the abode of God? What does that mean even? This is one question. Second question is, what is inside the abode, the paraphernalia, all the different material? What is actually there? The third question is that what are these perfected bodies? Right? These bodies we have are not perfected. This is part of the material energy. This is part of the outer energy. Bahir Shakti, this material world is part of the Bahir Shakti. And the Jivatma, who we are, is called the Tatastha Shakti, the marginal dwelling energy, Jiva and finite self. The substance is the same as Paramatma. Who we are, substance-wise, is the same as the body of Parabrahma, as the Tattva of Parabrahma, that is infinite. So the Tattva is only one. So this is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has called this Achinta Bheda Bhed Tattva. that it is not comprehensible how this is one and different at the same time, right? In that sense. Anyway, that's all deep Tattvagnan, but that's what we're talking about to some extent here. That the Jivatma is the same substance as the Paramatma, but the Jivatma is under the realm of Maya. And even when the Jivatma becomes a liberated being, that Jivatma is always under Paramatma in the as per the Acharyas in the Bhakti Sampradaya. Various devotional sampradayas will say that Paramatma is always subservient. Jivatma is always subservient to Parabrahma Paramatma. But the quality, the substance is the same. Now, this is something very interesting. What is this abode? Let's talk about that today to understand this connection between Sannidhi Shakti, Satyam, that which is real, and that versus that which is unreal, and the spiritual world. So first of all, everything that is the Bhautik Jagat, Brahmand jisko kehte hai, Brahmand are how many? Infinite numbers. Let's see if we can explain this a bit carefully. Infinite number of Brahmand are there. Brahmand means, the word Brahmand means, it is come out of Brahman. Now see, this will go in sequence. Brahman is referring to the divine infinite consciousness. That divine infinite consciousness, from its own power, from this Maya Shakti, this Brahmand are coming out of that. How many are coming out? Infinite number. There are many forms of Vishnu Bhagwan that also come out, in the creative process. Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu, Karanadosho Kai Vishnu, Kshirodashakai Vishnu. It's difficult to pronounce some of these words. There's 3 forms of Vishnu that come out. Quite a few Ishwaras come out of all of this in the creation process. Brahmand are created. Material universes are created. And the Jivatma are how many? Infinite. This is per Achinta Bheda Bhed Tattva and per Vishishtadvaita, Shuddhadvaita. All of those systems will say that there are infinite number of Jivatma. Each Jivatma is separate from all Jivatma. But the substance is the same. That's why Shankaracharya ji says Eka Jiva Vida. He says Eka Jiva Vada. That there's only one Jiva. But actually there are infinite number of Jiva, but the substance is the same. Alright, substance is what? Sat Chit Ananda. Now the question will become, what exactly is the cause of this Jivatma being in Maya? Well, the answer in Vachanamrut, Maharaj gives this answer in Vachanamrut, that it is eternally existing in Maya, uncreated by Paramatma, as old as Paramatma, and that is Anadi. So how old are we? We are infinitely old. There's no time that the Jivatma was created by the Paramatma. Now, according to Vishishtadvaita and Panchabhed Tattvagnan in Vachanamrut, the Jivatma is not created by the Paramatma, and the Paramatma doesn't degrade into the Jivatma and get bound in Maya. That never really happens. That's not the case. Even Advait Vedanta would say that doesn't happen. Advait Vedanta only will say that there's Brahman, that there's Akshara Brahman, infinite consciousness. It doesn't deny the existence of all of these abodes of God, but it says they are only the same substance. So nobody's wrong really in this. The substance is only one. It is a matter of trying to, it is a matter of what we are wanting. Like Ramakrishna Paramahansa says, Nitya Sakar Dham. He's also mentioned about this, that there are abodes of God that are eternally present. They are just there. They're nitya. They're uncreated. Wo hai, pehle se hi hai. So Golok is one of those abodes, and that is where Bhagwan Krishna's, existence is there. There's only one Paramatma, but the abodes are many. So for example, if you have, let's say you have an individual who is a trillionaire and has, let's say, 100,000 massive homes. The same person, the person is only one, but the but the places of residence are many. He has a house in Hawaii, house in Alaska, house in Tennessee, house here, there, like this. So Bhagavan ke dham anant hai. Even the material world is also kind of abode of God. But that is the material abode. And this is where Bhagavan Shankar and Devi come into the picture. So they are creating the material universes. And Devi, meaning Durga Devi, who is an expansion of Parvati Ji, of Mahashakti. She is in charge of the material world. The whole material universe, material Bhautik Jagat is called Devi Dham. That's what it's called. You see, so when we do the Devi mantras, why we do them? We do them every day also here. Because we're living in the material world and we want to find two things. One is no problems in the material world as much as possible. We want good quality experiences. That is called bhukti. And we also want mukti. We also want that doorway that opens into the dham, into the abode of Paramatma, out of the material world. I hope this is clear. And this is why Radhika Ji is next to Sri Krishna. This is this is one reason why. Because all of those forms of Devi are all expansions. They are all parts of Radhika Ji's Shakti. That's what they are. So again, that's another massive subject altogether. But the point I was trying to make, I'm trying to get to, is to explain what is this dham. Ye dham kya hai? And this Sandhini Shakti. Sandhini Shakti is the eternal substratum. That is Satyam. That is also Brahman in that sense. But it is basically where there is the existence, the configuration of the spiritual world. Meaning what? For example, right now, look at this planet Earth. Let's try to understand. Planet Earth has a form. There are so many beings born into this planet. It has been constructed by Bhagavan Vishnu. By Bhagavan Vishnu, actually by Brahmaji. Brahmaji is the creator of this entire Brahmand. How many Brahmas are there? Infinite number of Brahmas are there. There is not only one Brahma. There are infinite number of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiv. Okay, so this is also difficult to understand. But when we're talking about the universe being created, there is a structure, the intelligence with which to create the material world. Brahmaji has that. Okay, now, there is the Sannidhi Shakti of Paramatma that creates the Golok Dham. Golok Dham, Vaikuntha Dham, Shvetadvip Dham, Badrikashram Dham. It is created by that power, by his power. Now, that creation is all Satchit Ananda. So everything there is Satchit Ananda. Think of it this way: if you are entering into a massive store, that not just a store, let's say you go to a mall, special mall is constructed, everything is made out of gold. As soon as you park your car, you go inside, the doors are made out of gold, the floors made out of gold, all the shops are made, but different forms, different carrots, different this. Everything is made out of the same substance, but different forms are there. Everything, massive, billions of stores are there inside. Everything is golden. Aur kuch hai. And once you enter into that, you also become gold. As soon as you enter into that, you leave this body, you also become gold. This is Sannidhi Shakti in Sachin's humble interpretation. Big acharyas would probably be able to expand much greater on this point. Now, this is called the abode of God. Now, this is very interesting. Now, I'm going to try to present something interesting here. And that is, how we offer flowers. Let's say, for example, we take a gulab. We take a one rose. How we offer that to Bhagavan Krishna, Radhika Ji, to our gurus. We offer a rose. But let's say the bhakta loves roses. Absolutely loves roses so much. And offers them at the feet of God every day. Just whatever, So when this body goes, Bhagwan kya karte hai? Something amazing happens. Bhagwan, what he does, because the Jivatma is also Satchidanand, this body is gone. The physical body is gone, the subtle body is gone, and the causal body is gone. Because there is a divine river around Golok Dham that is called Virja Nadi. So the causal body is left aside completely, and the liberated beings of Goloka, by the will of Radhika ji, they will give, or by the Bhagwan's, Krishna's will, they give the Jivatma a body. And that body is called Bhagavati Tanu, Brahmamay Sharir. This is discussed in Vachanamrut Garada Pratham 1. So that body is given, and that body is Sat Chit Anand. It's a divine, it's a body of a liberated being. Okay, now, when, let's say that same being was offering roses here on earth during sadhana time, during the sadhana we're doing. That wish is there to offer roses. Bhagwan kya karte hai? Radhika ji kya karti hai in the abode of God? She said, you love roses, we will make you a rose. So the mukta assumes the form of a divine rose and sits at the feet of Sri Krishna. Can you imagine this point? I don't think I've ever talked about this before. It's very interesting. What happens in the abode? That's the Sandhini Shakti. In the abode meaning Dham, Bhagavat Dham, based on the Bhav sadhana we have done, it shows up there in infinite ways. There's even something called within Golok, Parth Sarthi Loka. For example, let's say we have a devotee who loves the Gita, just day and night playing around with the Gita, loving the Gita, just lost in the conversation. Itna ras milta hai isme. So there's a special place in Golok where the conversation between Arjun and Krishna is going on for infinite time. That is called Parth Sarthi Lok. Lok meaning it's an abode within Goloka. Think about this. Because if you have a devotee who just is mad after Gita, uska jo ras aata hai, different ideas, different this, different that. Bhagwan kya karte when you get liberated out of this body into the abode of God, outside the Agnya Chakra, because those muktas don't come back into the world again. Chapter 15 of the Gita we will look at, probably in some special presentations we'll have to do that. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. The person does not, the Jivatma doesn't come back unless he is sent back by God. Again, that's a different subject altogether. So the devotee as a mukta will experience what, how can I say it? The rasa that is experienced here will show up billion times more. I mean, it will show up infinitely more in the liberated state to experience that for endless time, and there is no diminishing of joy in the abode of God, because that is Sat Chit Ananda. The abode of God is Satchidananda. It is Anandam, but it is Anandam that is in relation to Ishtadevata. Amazing. This is very advanced spirituality. Very advanced. It is advanced in terms of the development of Prem-Lakshana Bhakti, the 10th Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. As Narad Bhakti Sutra will say, Naradji has talked about. In the Prema Bhakti, Prema Bhakti is where Bhakti has opened completely. And when it is opened completely, the Sukshma Sharir and its disturbances are completely obliterated. Punarjanma nahi aata. Bilkul nahi. Punarjanma stops. Rebirth stops. Completely it stops. Yat gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Once you go into that abode of God, cross the Virja river. Virja river is a transcendental river. It's not like these rivers in the Brahman. In the 14 lokas, there's nothing like that. It's not a question of just this Prithvi lok. इससे पर 7 lokas are above, all the way up to Brahma ji's lok. और ब्रह्मा जी भी निरंतर वो भगवान की भक्ति करते हैं. भगवान ब्रह्मा जी इज ऑल्सो, वो भगवान का ही एक इनकारनेशन है. वो ही ऑल्सो वर्शिप्स द विराट नारायण, जिसको विराट पुरुष कहते हैं. और वो जो विराट पुरुष है वो कृष्ण भगवान की उपासना करते. दिस इज बेस्ड ऑन वैष्णव परंपरा. और शंकर भगवान भी एक भक्त भी है. वो भगवान है और वो भक्त भी है. That's another whole subject. Who is Shiv Tattva? That's another whole discussion. What is the Shiv Tattva? Tattva तो ultimately एक ही है, but the abodes are different. जब महाकैलास is outside 14 lokas. तो जिसको शिव जी की भक्ति है, पराभक्ति है, उसकी मुक्ति कैलाश में होती है. Not this, ये जो हिमालय में कैलाश है, that is a doorway into the महाकैलाश, outside the Brahmand. So the abodes we have here, यहाँ वृंदावन है, यहाँ काशी है. So those are physical abodes here. They're representations of that divine abode. So they are doorways. They're access points into the Param Dham itself. And all the 51 Shakti Peeth are all aspects of Mahashakti. They're all, and so the whole purpose of the 51 Shakti Peeth is to reach that extraordinary Prema Bhakti. That is his actual ultimate purpose. By going through a whole scenic route, Argala Stotra, Kilaka Stotra, Nyasa Stotra, all the Devi Upasana, its ultimate purpose, ultimate goal is to reach Brahman and to reach Paramatma. So that the Mahamaya releases the Jivatma. But that's another whole subject altogether. So the point is, there are many paths to reach that same Tattva. Many paths are there and they reach at different stages, at different points. These are very, 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 very advanced topics. They are super advanced subjects in spirituality. You see, so it is difficult for me to explain this in short time, but because since we're talking about bhakti, it is the will of the divine, something should be explained about this. इस subject पर इतना लिखा है महापुरुषों है. General community doesn't know. Doesn't know even what is, unless you have gone into that. Most people don't know much anything about this, and it's very confusing to a lot of people. But we'll try to keep it as simple and as straightforward as possible. The point I was making, that when the mukta is there, that mukta can take any form. So the pushpa that is there, the paraphernalia, that is made out of the same Sandhini Shakti, and the Pushpa is also a liberated being. How many flowers are there in Goloka? They are anirvachaniya. In Vedras, Bhagwan Swaminarayan Golok Dham ka varnan karte hai. It's a description. There are 12 pages of description of Golok Dham. And he begins by saying it cannot be described, first of all, because it is Chaitanyam. It is divine. It is not like this, the experiences we have in the material world. Doesn't matter what the experience is, we get tired of it. It's saturated. It becomes old. It's not like that over there. भगवान के धाम में ऐसा है ही नहीं. उसमें अनुभव नित्य नवीन अनुभव. It's eternally new, constantly new. Every second it is brand new. It never becomes old. Never, not under any circumstances. That experiences that have a beginning, they have a peak experience, they saturate out, and then we keep running inside these limited experiences. This is under the 3 gunas of Maya. भगवान के जो धाम है, ये सब निर्गुण धाम है, वो गुणों से बाहर है. They are outside the 3 gunas of Maya, and the experiences do not ever become old. They are eternally, and we can get glimpses of this here. If we reach Prem-Lakshana Bhakti here, then 24 hours while living in the body, you are a Jivan Mukta, and there is no break in the connection with Paramatma. One is the same as a liberated Mukta in the abode of God while living inside this body. There are stages like that even today. Then the body is maintained by the Divya Ichha for the purpose of Kalyanam for the people of the world. Otherwise, the yogi, the bhakta, that body would not be maintained also. Bhagwan Swayam aate hai, Indriya Antakaran Sharir mein, he takes over. it's called Akhand Dharak Sant, Garada Pratham 27 Vachanamrutam. भगवान स्वामीनारायण इस पॉइंट पर कहते हैं कि भगवानना अखंड धारक संत છે, એ સર્વ જગતના આધાર રૂપ છે. He is the foundation of all, such a saint is the foundation of this sansar, because the presence of these saints keeps this sansar from getting obliterated. There's so much agnan, so much trouble that the jivatma causes, because of its agnan. But the presence of enlightened sage, their energy, their power, their shakti, that keeps the sansar going. And that's another subject altogether. अभी इसमें से ये सब बात ऐसी है ना, कहाँ से बंद करेंगे, कहाँ से चालू करेंगे. Anyway, let's just stop with this point here. The only point for today, one simple sadhana. When we're doing any sadhana, we're offering one pushpa, one leaf, when we're listening to one bhajan, try to do that with all attention, all energy that we have. Even if we listen to a 5-minute bhajan, bring 100% attention on the Murti of Paramatma, bring 100% bhav from inside, and give it over to Paramatma. It's the quality of the connection that makes the difference, not the quantity. Quantity is good, quality is better. Quantity should be there, but quality is everything. And the quality of the connection will pierce all of the granthi, all of the knots in the chakras. So the Hruday Granthi, Samshay Granthi, Mamatva Granthi, Aham Granthi, Mera Tera, Chal Kaput, Shad Ripu, everything can be obliterated by these bhajans. Beautiful bhajan kirtan mein, isme ras hai. Rasiyo, Bhagwan is raso vaisaha. Rasiyo, in Gujarati we say rasiyo. So Bhagwan is raso vaisaha. That rasa comes from inside and it obliterates all of the granthi. Antakarana becomes Shuddha, Antakarana becomes Divya, and then there's the preparation for Jivan Mukta. There's even a stage called Videhi Mukta, a very advanced subject. We won't be talking about that right now. And then in the abode of God, there are all the liberated beings that take different forms. That is the paraphernalia that is talked about just in this one point here. Let me just show this to you very quickly again, then we'll stop. So the point we have tried to expound upon is this very first block here. And this is one of the rays that Jiva Goswami talks about as the Sandhini Shakti. The ontological correlate is Sat, and that means being. And then this is what configures and sustains the spiritual world, the abodes in the spiritual world, the paraphernalia in the spiritual world, and the bodies of the liberated beings in the spiritual world. This is called the Sandhini substratum. PhD level subject, beyond PhD level. Hari Om. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Om Ganganapate Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Trambakam Yajame Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Ivabandanan Mritya Mukshya Mamritata. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Om Glom Hum Klim Jumsa Jwale Jwale Jwala Jwala Prajwala Prajwala Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Jwala Ham Sam Lamksham Phat Swaha Durge Durge Rakshini Tha Tha Swaha. Om Shri Durga Arpanamastu, Om Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu, Om Hrim Swaha.